It's a small public company out of Birmingham. It's all family owned. I don't think this is like.
What is it? Advance? Good evening. Whoa, that's loud. I need to stand back. Let me say good evening to everyone. I'd like to call our official meeting to order for the Social Justice, Race, and Equity Commission. It's good to see everyone's smiling faces. Thank you for coming out. I'm really excited about the great work that you're doing as commissioners as well as subcommittee persons. So thank you for your dedication and your love and passion for the city of Brookhaven, because I know you wouldn't be doing this if you didn't love and had the passion for the city of Brookhaven. So give yourself a round of applause. We're gonna have a good night tonight. So good to see everyone. At this time, I would like to call on our city leader to bring greetings to this wonderful group. I know he's excited about what we're doing. He's here. I'll call on our city manager, Kristen Sigmund, and he will bring greetings to you at this time.
Thank you, John. It's great to see everybody in person. I got like 50 balls in the air right now. We're trying to figure out how we notify everybody we're closed tomorrow because it's Juneteenth. And there's debates like, was it, do we have enough time? So I'm working that right now, but thank you very much. I'm afraid of the word leader because we all have bosses at the end of the day, right? So I send the greetings of the mayor, Mayor John Ernst. He had an event tonight, but he is going to make a meeting live when we have them. The future meetings will be at other locations in the city. And a special message from District Representative Lindley Jones. This is her district, District 1. She's in Charleston. I think it's her niece's graduation or something like that. So she's not even in town, but they send their regards. I am the city manager, Christian Sigmund. I'm here at your service. I'm at the service. I work for the council and the mayor, work for John and his commission. But, we're the lunchbox people. We're the ones who come to work every day and we do what we're told to do. So we want you to be successful in your work here tonight and through the completion of the commission. And I've been doing this a long time. I've worked a lot of commissions, task force, blue ribbon, whatever. This is being done right. You're doing the work. You're thinking about it. You're having spirited debates. You're getting to know each other. We're getting into the community. The end product is going to be very special. And a lot of communities are calling Brookhaven going, how are you doing that? What are you doing? Because we're getting some really good press across the country, not CNN type press, but just in the industry, what I do for a living, going, man, you guys are doing some good stuff there. So I'm done talking. Finish up your meal and I'll turn it back over to your chair.
Thank you, Kristen. I'm going to need you to work on that CNN coverage. No, no, the city is doing a great job. Again, thank the city of Brookhaven Mayor and Council for doing such a great job with establishing this commission. Thank you to Kristen and his leadership team, our liaison that works with each subcommittee. They're probably listening online. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This work could not have been done or is not being done without the support from the city leadership team as well as the staff liaison. Chrysalis Labs, thank you all. This is my first time in person, so I just have to say this. Thank you all. Chrysalis Lab, CSI Crane, Bill Mark is back there, Leslie and her team is here. Thank you guys for really putting this front and center, the attention and the details that's in front of us. All right, I'm gonna move on the agenda. We have a very packed agenda tonight. I'm gonna start with our roll call. Before I do that, let me read our preamble. I am John J. Funny, you all know that, and I'll be presiding this evening. The Social Justice, Race, and Equity Commission public meeting has been called on matters pursuant to the Mayor and Council approved resolution 2020-09-01 to establish Social Justice, Race, and Equity Commission and as specified on tonight's agenda. So again, we welcome you and good evening to each of you. And at this time, I will do roll call. Are we connected online okay? Okay, very good. Thank you, Zach. Commissioner Alexander? Commissioner Alvarez? Commissioner Alvarez? Commissioner Anwar? Commissioner Arif? Commissioner Barrera? Commissioner Barrera? Commissioner Becerra? Commissioner Becerra? Commissioner Bowden? Commissioner Burnett? Commissioner Kane? Commissioner
Present.
Kane? Commissioner Curiello?
Present.
Kane is online. Thank you for acknowledging Kane's presence. Commissioner Curiello?
Present
Commissioner-
online.
Okay, thank you, Zach. Zach, you're gonna answer for them, right? Say here. All right, Commissioner Collins? Commissioner Cosez? Commissioner Corn? Commissioner Cruz? Commissioner Funny here, Commissioner Hardy? Commissioner Hershen? Commissioner Knight? Okay. Commissioner Minor? Commissioner Moses?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Marathi Wall? Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Naglish? Commissioner Nelson? Commissioner Nelson? Commissioner Nisi? Commissioner Owen?
Present
Commissioner
online.
Owen?
Present online.
Oh, online, okay. I'm like, looking where? Commissioner Petzold? Commissioner Petzold? Commissioner Palmer? Commissioner Palmer? Commissioner Pasco? Commissioner Pasco? Commissioner Russell? Commissioner Russell? Commissioner Thomas?
I'm present. I'm
Thomas?
online. I'm present.
Commissioner
I'm
Todd?
online.
Commissioner Todd? Commissioner Torres?
Present, I'm online.
Commissioner Wells? She's out of town. Thank you for reminding me. If any of you remember people emailing us and saying they're on vacation, that's an excused absence. You need to take a break every now and then. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Wendell. Commissioner Wendell. Thank you, Commissioner Wendell. Commissioner Woodward. Commissioner Wright, out of town vacation. And Commissioner Williams. Did I miss anybody? I'm getting better. Okay, good. Thank you all again for being here. We will move right on into our agenda. We have some business that we need to take care of. Our April 15th meeting minutes. We need to approve our meeting minutes for the April 15th meeting. At this time, I will entertain a motion from a commission member on the acceptance and adoption of the meeting minutes from our April 15th, 2021 meeting. Yes, ma'am. Sure. Okay. Yes. All right. I remember receiving an email from Mr. Hines, And I'll tell you what, I'm going to put that on my to-do list. Thank you for reminding us on that. We will address that email that was received from a citizen, Mr. Hines. Is there a second on the motion that's on the floor? It's been properly moved in second on accepting in the April 15th, 2021 meeting minutes. Is there any unreadiness? Any unreadiness? Any unreadiness? All right, seeing none, we're in person. So all those in favor, please raise your hand. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those who oppose, please raise your hand. No one opposed. Let the record show that the meeting minutes have been accepted unanimously with the notation of addressing Mr. Hines' email from our April meeting minutes. Next up is our May 20th, 2021 meeting minutes. We need a motion for the acceptance of the meeting minutes from our May 20, 2021 meeting. Is there a motion? Thank you, Commissioner Woodward. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Arif. We have a motion and a second. Is there any unreadiness on the motion for the acceptance? Any unreadiness? Are there any unreadiness? Hearing none or seeing none. All those in favor, raise your hand. All right, thank you. All those opposed? All those opposed? Seeing none, let the record show that our meeting minutes from May 20th, 2021 has been accepted unanimously. Now we're down to the good stuff. Here's our agenda for tonight's meeting. I would ask that you review the agenda as presented, and I will entertain a motion for the adoption of the agenda for tonight's meeting. Anybody, not all at once, anybody. Thank you, Commissioner Williams. It's properly moved. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Corn. We appreciate the motion in a second. Is there any unreadiness on the adoption of the agenda as presented? Any unreadiness? Any unreadiness? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your hand, please. Thank you. All those opposed, raise your hand. Likewise. Let the record show we have adopted our agenda for tonight. Thank you very much. I'm really excited about this evening. I'm excited about being here. We have an opportunity to connect in person. We appreciate the science that have produced the vaccination for us. I've been double vaccinated by Pfizer, and I'm feeling good. So it's really good to have everyone here as we begin to move into our normalcy of life. So thank you all for coming out this evening. Tonight we have a very full agenda. We're going to ask everyone to really be brief and be patient because we have a lot that we want to cover tonight. So I didn't bring the hook. I'll get your signal, get your attention if I need to, but we want to keep it moving tonight. Please note, we will have no official breaks because we have a full agenda. If you have to excuse yourself to go to the restroom, you would exit these doors or this door, make a left, past the bar, and the restroom will be on the left. Do not stop at the bar, no. But again, make a left out of these doors, past the bar, and then the restrooms will be on the left. Please sign up for some activities. We really want to come out this summer and show the community that this commission is very serious about the work we're doing. And the way you do that is by showing up and they see us. So please sign up on one of these Post-its out there. Chrysalis Lab have it all over the room. There's just not decoration. We want you to sign up. So please stop by and sign up to assist us. We need your help. We really do. We have a lot to cover. And I shared with Leslie, one of the things that the mayor and council is very serious about. They asked the question, did you talk to the public? Did you go out into the community? Did you go where they are? So I would like to make certain that we go to where they are. So please sign up and assist us with that. Thank you, Kristen. We got some good swags out there. I mean, there are books and umbrellas, and thank you, Kristen. Little small token to say thank you. He haven't signed a check to give everybody a check, so take the token. Take the swag. Yes. So we have
I'm going to be so fast. History book of Brookhaven was commissioned 9 years ago when the city was started. It stops when we became a city. We're actually going to redo this book for the first 10 years of the city next year. So you're more welcome to these. Also, we have Brookhaven branded umbrellas. This is kind of a shtick for us. We're a welcoming community and every employee has a bunch of them. And if they see a citizen walking around in the rain, they're supposed to stop and give them a Brookhaven umbrella. And that's what we do. Every hotel has them, every valet stand, every restaurant, and it gives us pride. And I know it does for our residents when they see someone walking around with a Brookhaven umbrella. And there are people who actually say, hey, can I get one? And yes, we give them out. So if you need 2, 3, just take as many as you want because we know they will end up in the community. So there we go.
All right, thank you, Kristen. We appreciate that. We really do. And I know the citizens walking in the rain appreciate it too. All right, so don't leave without your swags. Also, they have parking stickers. Who have them? Okay, so before you leave, make sure you receive a parking pass to exit the area there. One other item I want to talk about. One other item I'll talk about very briefly. Everyone should have picked up a resolution adopting conduct and decorum guidelines for elected and appointed officials. Everyone did receive that. It was on the table outside. This is a very important piece of document here. City Council approved this. The city of Brookhaven was established and voted on 2012, started up in 2013, with great leaders speaking to issues that needed to be addressed. A lot of people on the council, I shouldn't say a lot of people may have had different viewpoints, but they collectively collaborated to come up with the right solution for moving the city forward. And they did it with respect to one another. So this document is a document that the city adopted, city mayor and council adopted last night. I was on their Zoom meeting. Was that last night? Tuesday night. And it puts something in place to say, this is how we will operate as a city so that no one is disrespectful to one another. We know how to speak to our citizens as we are engaging and deliberating on decisions. So it's a very important piece of document. Bedtime reading, you don't have to read it now, but I wanted to point that out because we're governed under this as well. We are appointed officials of the city. We wear the hat of the city of Brookhaven. So when people see us, we represent the city of Brookhaven. So I would ask you to please govern yourself accordingly as it relates to us representing the city of Brookhaven. Okay, I've talked enough. Let's go back here. Next on the agenda. Stephen, there you are. Stephen's going to come up and he's going to provide us with a moment of inspiration. Thank you, Stephen. Get all my junk out of your way.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephen Cosby with Chrysalis Lab, and I echo what Chairman Funny said about just being in person, right? It's just, can we just take a deep breath? Isn't it nice just to be around people again, right? Just in the same room and in each other's presence, that we exist outside of the square box right here, outside of Zoom screens and Google Meet screens. It's nice to be in each other's presence. So I just want to share a poem this evening by Khalil Gibran, the writer and poet and artist, Lebanese American who lived from the late 18 to early 1900s. This poem is on self-knowledge. And a man said, "Speak to us on self-knowledge." And he answered, saying, "Your hearts know in silence the secrets of the days and the nights, but your ears thirst for the sound of your heart's knowledge. You would know in words that which you have always known in thought. You would touch with your fingers the naked body of your dreams, and it is well you should. The hidden wellspring of your soul must needs rise and run murmuring to the sea, and the treasure of your infinite depths would be revealed to your eyes. But let there be no scales to weigh your unknown treasure. And seek not the depths of your knowledge with staff or sounding line. For self is a sea, boundless and measureless. Say not, I have found the truth, but rather, I have found a truth. Say not, I have found the path of the soul. Say rather, I have met the soul walking upon my path. For the soul walks upon all paths. The soul walks not upon a line, neither does it grow like a reed. The soul unfolds itself like a lotus of countless petals. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Wonderful words that really cause you to pause and think about the soul. So thank you for that wonderful reading of a poem. I wanted to jump in right quick and thank our commissioners who are online participating with the meeting. I know you're not in the room, you're missing the fun, but thank you for participating with the meeting online. We really appreciate your attentiveness and your work with us. At this time, I'm going to hand the mic over to Leslie with Chrysalis Labs, and she will provide us with the next segment on shifting our gaze.
Thank you, and it is a pleasure to be here live with you and to spend some time talking and connecting in real time, in real space. So it's a pleasure to see you and to be here. And I just wanted to lead us through an exercise tonight. An exercise tonight to really reflect and prepare us for the work that's before us this summer, the work of engaging community. You know, during our time together as a commission, we've talked about a lot of things, right? We started off looking at big data that told us a bit about the lives, right? And key points and data points for the people living in Brookhaven. We organized ourselves into the issues for which this commission was created. We've had conversation with others along this path, all of which will continue. And we've talked about the construct of race, you know, and the scourge of racism, and debated as to the creation and development and growth of race into a caste system, you know, in Brookhaven and beyond. And so now as we launch our path to engage with community, we know these conversations are going to continue. They're going to continue through the community engagement. The centerpiece of the conversation around race is going to continue through our civic dinners conversation. You'll see that and hear more about that later on this evening. And in fact, we're going to encourage you to have those conversations, those civic dinners. Remember, their dinners, their walks, their however you want to do it, with one another first, right? So as commissioners, to continue to build yourself as a cohort and as groups and as leaders in this equity space. So I wanted to lead us into a little bit of dialogue as we think about how we stretch and deepen and sometimes have to wrestle with what is a tough conversation, right? It just doesn't get easier, but it's one that we need to work through. And so I want to begin by starting with two examples. Both of these examples look through the lens of art and artists, right? Who always have helped us to see a different world and a different way of being. The two artists couldn't be more different from one another. The first is an older white man born in 1894, guy by the name of Norman Rockwell. Have you ever seen this before, this picture? This is an iconic picture that came out many years ago during the civil rights eras. And for years, Rockwell had done kind of small town America, nice, quaint scenes in magazines all over the country. So you can imagine the shock when in 1963, folks opened up the magazine, 2-page spread in Look magazine, and here centered in this guy's painting was a little Black girl. But what I'll share with you is that this is not where this painting began. There was a progression there, right? When you started off, what you looked at was the full institutional picture of little Ruby going into a school. And as a part of an institution, schools and police, that Norman would have been very comfortable with, right? That he would have felt represented himself. And then over time, it went through a series of progression where he increasingly got closer, right, to the subject and to the center. He then began to narrow in a little bit more on Ruby, right? What was going on with her, this little girl. He began to realize that actually that was the center of the piece. That was where he needed to focus his attention. She was the one who was in pain. She was the one to be centered. He also began to look at their surroundings. It became less important to show, heads of the police and the people escorting her. And you can't see, but in the background, you'll see writing on the wall, right? That speaks to what was going on there. Then he narrowed in even more. And even more to the beautiful dress, and even more, and then brought color to it. And so at the end of all of these iterations, we ended up with this picture. So just to show you about what it looks like to shift, to move, to reflect, to refine, right? Your gaze around having conversation and who you decide to center in the dialogue. So the second artist, this like night and day, is a guy named Titus Hafer. You may remember some homework we gave you in December. It was a TED Talk video, and we're going to play a little bit of it this evening. But Titus was born in 1976, African-American man, Kalamazoo, Michigan, but who also has gone through a reflective period and stage in thinking about how to center and shift and not erase the past, but see it very differently. When you think about this, it is exactly what we have for us in Brookhaven, because we know we all have different experiences. We know the folks who are living on Buford Highway do not have the same life experience as the folks who are living, on Dresden, right? We know that the experiences and expectations of African Americans in Brookhaven, Asian Americans in Brookhaven, whites in Brookhaven, Latinos in Brookhaven are different. The perspective is different, the experience is different, the culture is different. So the lens in which they see are different. We know that the folks who navigate and are longtime residents of Linwood community navigate very differently than they do on Peachtree Road. This is what we bring to it. This is what we also really have to appreciate in what we're doing. So we want to have a little bit of conversation about what it means, right? To kind of have that navigation, to have the conversations before us this summer so that we can work through them. Because we know we're going to agree and we know we're going to disagree. And we know we got to keep on talking, right? And how you do that. So I want to play a portion of this clip, this TED Talk of one of the most popular of all time for Titus. And I want to give you some background before we're starting halfway through. So basically, Titus is responding to his son who asked, why isn't life fair? Why are some people treated differently, better than other people? And so he began to work that out through his art and through his life passion. So do I press it again to get this to start, or? Thank you.
Finally told me I can't force her to teach anything. And I knew in that moment, if I wanted to understand this history, if I wanted to understand the roles of those folks who had to walk, I was probably gonna have to figure that out myself. So above you right here on the slide, the dean finally told me I can't force her to teach anything. And I knew in that moment, if I wanted to understand this history, if I wanted to understand the roles of those folks who had to walk, I was probably gonna have to figure that out myself. So above you right here on the slide is a painting by Franz. This is one of the kinds of images that was in that chapter. I taught myself how to paint by going to museums and looking at images like this. I want to show you something. I made this. I made some alterations. You'll see there are some slight differences in the painting. All this art history that I have been absorbing helped me to realize that painting is a language. There is a reason why he is the highest in the composition here. There is a reason why the painter is showing us this gold necklace here. He's trying to tell us something about the economic status of these people in his paintings. Painting is a visual language where everything in the painting is meaningful, is important, it's coded. But sometimes, because of the compositional structure, because of compositional hierarchy, it's hard to see other things. This silk is supposed to tell us also that they have quite a bit of money. There's more written about dogs in art history than there are about this other character here. Historically speaking, in research on these kinds of paintings, I can find out more about the lace that the woman is wearing in this painting than the manufacturer of the lace, than I can about this character here, about his dreams, about his hopes, about what he wanted out of life. I want to show you something, but I don't want you to think that this is about eradication. It's not. The oil that you saw me just put inside of this paint is linseed oil. It becomes transparent over time. So eventually what's going to happen is these faces will emerge a little bit. What I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to show you is how to shift your gaze just slightly, just momentarily, to ask yourself the question, why do some have to walk? What is the impact of these kinds of sculptures at museums? What is the impact of these kinds of paintings on some of our most vulnerable in society? Seeing these kinds of depictions of themselves all the time. I'm not saying erase it. We can't erase this history. It's real. We have to know it. I think of it in the same way we think of. Let me step back a second. You remember old school cameras where when you took a picture, you actually had to focus, right? You put the camera up, and if I wanted you in focus, I would move the lens a little to the left and you would come forward. I can move the lens a little to the right and you would go back and the folks in the background would come out. I'm just trying to do that here. I'm trying to give you that opportunity. I'm trying to answer that question that my son had. I want to make paintings. I want to make sculptures that are honest, that wrestle with the struggles of our past, but speak to the diversity and the advances of our present. And we can't do that by taking an eraser and getting rid of stuff. That's just not going to work. I think that we should do it in the same way the American Constitution works. When we have a situation where we want to change a law in the American Constitution, we don't erase the other one. Alongside that is an amendment, something that says, this is where we were, but this is where we are right now. I figure if we can do that, then that will help us understand a little bit about where we're going. Thank you.
Shifting our gaze. The Social Justice, Race and Equity Committee is being asked to shift your gaze, center and focus on those who haven't had a chance, those who are being hurt by the current system. That's what we're asked to do, not race, we even have to explain, but we're focusing on the around. So I do have a PowerPoint coming up, but here's what I'd like you to do. Turn to your neighbors, this is just pairs, and just talk a little bit about what you heard. What does it mean to shift your gaze as you drive equity, greater equity and social justice in Brookhaven as a commission, as individuals, and then as equity leaders in the community? Give you about 5 minutes, talk to your neighbor, and then we're just gonna come back to the full group and report out and just share what we talked about. Okay, we're going to. We're gonna just do some sharing in the full group about your conversations. I'm glad in dialogue. Who wants to share some of what you spoke about? Yes.
Well, hello. So one of the things that we talked about, we didn't really get to the quickly, but we talked about. We talked about the fact that the city, so understanding that our areas numbers show city. The city as a whole, so that other part of all represented. Commissioner Williams.
I'm Commissioner Woodward, and we did just the opposite. We actually thought it would be easier to start with individual expressions. So each of us told a story. I mentioned a story about maybe a grocery store, which is one of the places I did stop. And all of a sudden being more aware of not just looking at the food, the items that I've had on my desk to buy, but looking at the other people. Either shopping or stocking or otherwise working or in the grocery store. I think some of that was prompted by the fact that we're all wearing masks, like I was. I just became more aware of people close to me or around me. Some of it self-protective, also whatever they were doing, whether they were shopping or part of the process of allowing you to shop.
Talk a little bit, and we didn't really follow the questions, but I think there's something more in general, and it's like the good leaders we were talking about, being more empathetic to other people, and also you know, what our vantage point where we are, we tend to assume that everybody looks at things from our vantage point from where we are. So it's worth it to take a step back, you know, to look at the bigger picture or go closer and, you know, take a look for the details of the picture. So the analogy of focusing the camera was really good. That, you know, it's all about where you're standing from, and not everybody's standing where you are. So sometimes you just have to move away or closer to the picture. Commissioner Pasquale.
Don't, but I don't think I was given a choice. So, hi, I'm Renee Arang. I'm actually a partner with the city of Brookhaven with Explore Brookhaven, and we're helping coordinate the civic dinners. Okay, so we talked about the depth of these conversations that we're all having in this room and throughout the country, and why it's so important that we not erase our future, because how do we learn and do things differently if we don't recognize what we've done in the past, and how important it is to include all types of people in our conversations and accept their perspective so that we can question our own. And then John brought up about the millennials really kind of shaking up our world because they don't want to follow what they've seen us do. You see more diversity, you see more intercultural couples, you see different choices in their life in terms of relationships and how they make commitments and all of that. And we as the parents, or even the next generation above, are learning to accept that because we love them and we are able to see things through their eyes better than what we saw through our parents' eyes. So that's kind of where we left it off. It could have gone on for hours, I'm sure, but Leslie's good about keeping us to time.
So I'm going to have to hear this from somebody from each state. So we just got two y'all talk.
Commissioner Burnett. I think a thing for me when I'm in a setting like this is, as an individual, is what I begin to ruminate on, and that is change is going to happen through intentional conversations, particularly from somebody who looks like me with other people who look like me. People of color have been trying to create change for a long time. Hey, look at me, I'm over here, I need to be valued, I need to be loved. You know, I've contributed, please treat me the same. And they haven't been. And I just, not even the history of Brookhaven, but watching what has happened in Brookhaven in respects to the socioeconomic that has happened, turnover. And I look at Montgomery Elementary School where they can raise $160,000 in 1 month of fundraising, and that wouldn't happen at any other elementary school. So it's not equity, right? It's not, there is no equal access in that. And so it's going to take more conversations from people like me, with people who look like me, to have real change. And there has to be empathy for your neighbor. And that only happens in these meetings, these one-on-ones, sitting and hearing the voice inflection, right, is a lot different than reading something in black and white or reading the stories of somebody's life and going, man, that's sad. But it didn't really bother me. But when you sit with somebody and hear that and hear how that affected them, that creates empathy for you to do something different. And I hope, you know, the pop-ups, I really wasn't sure where District 1 was. So I'm going to Publix on Saturday, July 10th, because I want to be a part of the greater conversation. And that's what it looks like as an individual. So.
Thanks also for the plug for the signing up and the pop-ups. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. This is I'm Commissioner Russell. I thought about this question, like, what does it mean to shift my gaze? I think for me, in this moment, is getting out of the way. And I'll explain that. I think that what I've noticed is that people's communication is about them. And so what does that mean for an equity practitioner? It means that as I receive this communication, I can't take it personally. And I realize it's not about me, which is hard as a person of color in this skin. And so when I hear comments that are hurtful, I immediately think that this is about me, but it's not. And so if I can remove myself and shift so that ever so slightly there can be a mirror where we get to, have the opportunity to look at oneself in the mirror, I think that helps shift the gaze. And it also helps with self-care, understanding that, because we could get hit with a lot of stuff in doing this work. And it is debilitating. It is hard. But realizing that it's not about me, someone else's communications about their story. And as an equity practitioner, it's incumbent upon me to allow that story to rise. And if I go into a communication with it being about me, then I haven't heard it. And I stand in the way of being able to hear it. And so I present my evidence and they present their evidence, and then we're swirling around with evidence, right? And I still haven't heard because I'm in the way.
Thank you. So the conversation continues. And I think as you hear more about what we want to do this summer, think about it. If we aren't getting to the right places, help us get there. Like, talk. This is our opportunity to get out there and make sure that we're doing that. And if you need more tools or any support with that, of course, let us know. So I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Chair. John.
Thank you, Leslie. I really enjoyed the discussion, the dialogue, getting out of the way. It's not about me. This is awesome. So thank you, Leslie, for that discussion. And thank you for everyone's participation. Why am I holding this mic? I'm like, wait a minute, there's a mic here. I want to officially recognize Renee, Brookhaven Explorer. Renee made this possible. Renee, thank you. The civic dinners. So thank you, Renee, for being here. Give her a round of applause. We appreciate the support. It was something else I was gonna. Oh, we have guests in the room. So thank you, guests, for being in the room. Just wave your hand. We do have, thank you for being here, all of our guests. Wave your hand, thank you. And those of you online also, thank you for being here this evening. We do have public comment section that's coming later. So if you have public comment you'd like to make, you have an opportunity to make public comment. At this time, I'm going to stick with Chrysalis Lab and bring up Mindy Cow, and she's going to talk about the community engagement plan and member expectations.
All right. So I am going to go into a little more detail about these different signups in case you saw them and got overwhelmed, hoping to address some of the things that are on your mind. So you may remember this from, yes, talking to the, okay. You might remember this from the slide from last month's slideshow, but we again want to reemphasize the different forms of community engagement that we're asking you to get involved in. So we have a 5-pronged plan. I know it's a lot of prongs, but we're going to boil down each one to make it feel a little bit more approachable. So the first one is civic dinners, and we have Jen Graham here to speak with you in a few minutes, and Stephen will also be going into more detail there. So I'm not going to spend too much time there. But I'm going to move forward to the second, third, and fourth, and really dig into these community engagement opportunities. We have the community pop-ups, we have commission presentations, council district discussions, and then, of course, this last one we've included here. We aren't going to go into a lot of detail today, but just keep in mind that the stakeholder engagement that you're going to do as a part of your subcommittee membership, that is another form of community engagement. And so we just, want you all to think about this work holistically and all the different ways that you are getting voices to the table beyond our own. Okay, So civic dinners, I'm just gonna say really quickly, there are 3 things that we're specifically asking you to do. The first thing is we want you to participate in a civic dinner with other commissioners, just other commissioners. This is an opportunity for you to really get to know your fellow commissioners so that in the final 6 months of work together that we have, you're really doing it, in relationship and greater fellowship with one another. After that period has passed, we're then going to ask you to host a civic dinner. And that we want you to invite people from the community. We want you to post it to the Civic Dinners online platform so people can sign up. And maybe you can attract someone to your dinner who you just didn't know at all. And then we're going to ask you to attend a culminating city-sponsored civic dinner event in August. And again, Stephen and Jen will go into more detail later. So on to the community pop-ups. Those signups are over here next to the screen. Oh, and I just want to mention for those of you attending virtually, we will post signups to Basecamp later tonight, this evening, or in the morning. So I know you can't see the paper copies, but you will have an opportunity to sign up. Everyone will. Community pop-ups. This is the kind of thing, when you're at Kroger and there is a table set up in front of Kroger and they want to give you a pamphlet or they want you to take their survey, that's going to be us. I know you guys are laughing, but this is really an opportunity to catch people who don't volunteer to come out to public meetings or who can't make it to public meetings. These are the opportunity to catch those folks. And so you'll see we have a number of locations, dates, times. So look for something that works for you and sign up. The next opportunity are what we're calling council district discussions. So we want to make sure, and this applies to pop-ups as well, but we want to make sure that we're hitting all 4 districts within City of Brookhaven. So for the council district discussions, we have 1 set up in each district throughout the month of August. And during those, what you're going to do is present to talk a little bit about the commission, the work of the commission. At that point in August, how far along are you on in the journey? Where do you see it going? And then you'll get to talk to residents who attend and just get a little bit of their perspective and engage. So those signups are over there. And then lastly, there will be commission presentations, more information to come on this piece, but essentially we've reached out to a lot of different community organizations throughout Brookhaven to let them know what we're doing here. And we're hoping to engage with them a little bit more and potentially set up an opportunity to talk with either their constituents, their staff, their leadership, to again, engage them, tell them about the commission and just see what they have to say about this work that we're doing. So to recap, you can sign up for those first 3 today. More to come on the commission presentations. And if you do not sign up, I've been told that someone will sign you up. So thank you.
Thank you, Mindy. You're not supposed to tell them I was going to sign them up, but no, we really want you to sign up because this is going to be fun and we're going to accomplish a lot as we have those dialogue in the community. So let me now go to the section where we actually get to call on each subcommittee. And one of the co-chair, we have 2 co-chairs per subcommittee. We're going to ask one co-chair to just basically give some highlights about what's going on, progress, accomplishments, challenges and issues, and next step. What are some next steps that you're going to be doing within each of the subcommittee? First, this evening, I have a pleasure of calling on Axia Pascal. And each of you get, is it 1 minute? 1 minute. So you're going to be real fast. Hurry, come fast. All right. but we wanted you to have an opportunity to report out. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. So we had a meeting about 2 weeks ago of our Mission and Vision Subcommittee. And some of the progress and accomplishments include, we discussed the mission and vision of other cities. You know, some of them had historical references, some had more economic values, but we had a good range of missions and visions from other cities. We had our initial discussion on the mission and vision of Brookhaven, and we'll continue to have more of those. And something that I will cite as progress was that the members were very engaged in the discussion. So I was very happy to hear that. Some of the challenges and issues, we have to look at the city charter, which is huge. We've met with Christian to talk about it. It's a voluminous document, and we need to look at it and, you know, look closely through an equity lens to see what are the biases and the barriers, you know, that may be in the way of having a more equitable city. We also need to figure out what else we need to do in the next few months that are left, because we're running out of time. And for next steps, I think the community engagement for our subcommittee will be critical, being in those pop-ups and civic dinners and all that. We want to hear what people have to say about the mission and vision. I think at the very least, we want to ask the question to people, post the question, you know, does the mission and vision of the city reflect the city where you live? So that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Pasco. Very good point. Mission and vision sets the tone and how we do things in the city. So thank you, Commissioner Pasco, you and your team. If you're on that committee, just raise your hand, just wave. There you go. You're scattered. I love it. Good. Thank you all for your hard work. Next up, hiring and retention is very key within an organization. And this subcommittee co-chair, Commissioner Minor, she's going to come up and give an update.
Good evening, everyone. Really quickly, so progress and accomplishments. So we've got a lot of data. And so really it's been making sure that we spend time trying to assess it and, quite honestly, even challenge it, because there are some gaps, there are a lot of questions, but I will say, and this probably ties a little bit into challenges and issues, the data collection aspect is very manual. So it is requiring us to look at the data through a particular lens and then find some opportunities there. So, but I still consider that an accomplishment because we have actually gone through everything that has been presented. We've also continued to meet. Our group decided to break ourselves into 2 sub-teams so that we could work more efficiently. So the hiring team, they have been connecting through Basecamp and really trying to work through some things on the hiring side. And on the retention, we've had 2 meetings, but again, most of it has been focused on the data and the gaps, if you will. Outside of that, as far as challenges and issues, like I mentioned, the data is very manual. I will say it's hard to really understand kind of the trends just based on the way the data is currently presented. So, that's one of the challenges there. So we know that with some of our recommendations, that will feed into that so that it will actually help enable making that process easier. When we think about, why we're doing this work, you need to understand the story. And so if there's no investment in tools and resources, we'll make progress. But again, you want to be able to visibly see and understand the data and the impact that it has on the people who choose to work for the city of Brookhaven. And then the last thing would be, as far as next steps, the community piece, we're really excited about that. And, we're hoping that aspects of our community piece will also be those who serve the city, work in the city, because we think that's a big constituent group, and we'd love to get their input on some of this work as well. So that's it for us.
That's why I love working with this full commission. This is not a bashful crowd. I love it. You guys are doing an awesome job. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next up, Zach, did we arrange for Commissioner Moses? Okay. I don't hear your phone ringing.
Yes, I am.
Commissioner Moses. He's one of the co-chair for procurement and contracting.
Okay, or I can just move away from the screen.
Yeah, I think you're good. Oh, no, we have really fancy technology. Hold on. Okay, great. Okay, Jim, hold on just a moment. Okay.
Are we ready?
One moment. Okay, Jim, I think we're ready for you.
Okay, just to give everyone a Reader's Digest version of what we've been doing. We had a meeting Monday and decided to move forward with the information that we have available at us at this time. The members of the committee have been asked to pick contractors from the information that we were given and use that for our outreach. We developed questions that we will put forward to have them put in a Likert scale so that we can get more quantitative data. And hopefully we'll have most of this stuff in place by our July meeting. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jim. Are we back? Okay, thank you, Jim. We appreciate you giving us an update on procurement and contracting, how the city does business, advertise for business, how do they select teams, and who are they selecting, what's the trend? So they're really working with a lot of data to be able to make an assessment of contract and procurement. Next up is policing. I'm going to call on Commissioner Ara. This is that group that has been trained by the police department. So watch out, guys. Come on up, Commissioner Ara.
It was an exciting training. So we've done a lot in the policing committee over the past month or so since we last updated. So we did do the use of force training. That was pretty interesting for everyone who participated. And I think it helped drive context as to the type of decisions police officers have to make. From there, we've also reviewed
Bye.
That's what creates that magic. And proximity. And it's, thank God, worked online for the past year and a half. So excited to come back in time. But honestly, the real secret sauce is the structured conversation that allows everyone to feel heard. So our approach is about conversations because I believed in order to change a culture, you have to change the stories. The stories that we see and hear on the news feed or in the news or in movies or in paintings are the stories that shift our perspective. And we have to hear other stories to help shift our focus and our attention. And verbal stories are how we've learned to retain knowledge for millennia. Spires, caveman told stories, y'all. That's how traditions have been passed down for generations and generations. And so the power of storytelling, the proximity, is where empathy is born. And then equal time to share means that you're listening majority of the time, 80 to 90% of the time, you're going to be listening and leaning in and really hearing other people's perspective. So what the whole purpose of a conversation, like I believe that real change requires real conversations. And you got to go there if you're going to really make a change. You got to go under the surface and get to the tension and hopefully emerge with something better, with something learned. So what we like to meet people where they are, literally, physically. Go to their homes and go meet people where they are. I love the pop-ups idea. That's brilliant. But really meeting them where they are also means meeting them where they are at that moment, asking them to share their past, their stories, their experiences. Then we get to the heart of the issue where we can really understand the shared challenges that we all face and allow to put all the cards on the table. Everything from, and that tension, that's like what makes a great story, a good story. A movie has that tension, and having to address the elephant in the room is what's going to help us move forward. And then lastly, we always want to make sure that we can come out of the tension moment and emerge feeling more hopeful and empowered. And I think once you are personally connected to the issue and personally connected with others, and you've allowed to hear all of the challenges, shared challenges, then you feel the gap between where you are now and where you want to be is what creates urgency for action. That is what will stay with you long. And so empowering personal commitment to take action is what our intention is with these conversations. And so structured conversations on the most important topics of our time is what Civic Dinners is all about. We have, with you, are going to have the pleasure and opportunity to host racial equity conversations. And we provide you with a guide that has everything that you need to be able to host. For those of you who have hosted, raise your hand. I know we have one. Yes. How was it?
And the host guide really does help you to engage in conversation and to, you are a little nervous. I feel real nervous.
Yeah.
But the words are there, the questions are really powerful, and they really are questions that can be where they are.
Thank you. Yeah. So we really tried to make it as easy as possible for anybody to host. That's my goal in life. Make it easy for anybody to facilitate these conversations so that they happen more regularly, more commonly, and people feel okay and comfortable having them, even though that might make them feel uncomfortable at times. So everything you need to know about hosting is provided in your host guide, which you will receive. It includes even what to do before, during, and after the conversation. It also includes basic facilitation tips. So if you've never run a meeting in your life, you will get at least basic one-on-ones on how to do so, what to say, if something goes off rails, what if you have someone who's super talkative, how do you get them back on track? Just basic one-on-one on facilitation. And then most importantly, we provide you with the actual conversation, the framing of the topic, the ground rules, and lastly, the questions, the magic. And so we have 3 big questions, starting with an intro, question 1, 2, 3, and then what's next. We even provide you with an example of kind of how long you would want people to share, just so that you get a sense of timing. It's still, depending on the size of the group, you can definitely have 10, I've had 10, and lots of bottles of wine, but it might go later into the night if you have one of those. Totally fine. Just be prepared. If you want to do it online, cool. You can have, good mix. 6 is I think the perfect sweet spot. for a quick hour power lunch conversation. So you can kind of make it, but know that we we definitely want people to share throughout the whole conversation. And so what to expect when you're hosting this racial equity conversation? Really, first thing you do is you would just welcome people for being there. Thank them for taking the time to be there. And we have some tips here. I'm going to get into the weeds a little bit, especially if you're online. And we want people to turn video on and sound on, because this is something that I was so deeply afraid of when we had to go online, that I was worried that the power and the magic of in-person events wouldn't translate to virtual. But video saved us, because we can still see each other's faces, and that body language and the empathy that is in your face matters. And so coming on camera is so important, to not just be a voice, but to actually be there as much as possible. And so, and also obviously distractions are happening 24/7 with us online, being fully present, removing any reminders, and then remembering that one voice at a time. We also have in-person guides that are coming back. We're dusting the dust off and bringing them back out just for y'all. Y'all are the first group that's like, woo, let's go. So bear with us as we get our training wheels back on that. But yeah, the second thing to do is to really set the tone with the ground rules. And there are 3 really simple ground rules. Be curious, be vulnerable, and be authentic. And be curious is about just being willing to be uncomfortable to what you might hear. Be willing to lean in and ask more. Be vulnerable, meaning it takes courage to really go there. And the faster you go there and you model the vulnerability for others, the more people will also be willing to share your knowledge and wealth. People are there to learn. And also acknowledge other people's stories and lived experiences. And then lastly, be authentic. Speak from your own lived experience and honor the lived experience in others. It's a gift to receive someone else's story. And so honor that. And I love that, like, what is said here stays here, but what is learned here leaves here. Third is to introduce the topic and begin the conversation. So we provide you with the questions. You just simply follow the guide. Even if this is designed for hosting virtually, but you would simply just copy the words and post it in the chat. And then the fourth thing is it is totally normal to have diverse opinions, and that is good. Like I said, tension is what creates something meaningful and magical. We always, there's meaning in every word of every meaning. There's every meaning of the word diverse. Also experience, there might be people who are new to this and they might have initial shyness. Invite them to share. Some people just have to be invited to pull in. That's the art of facilitation. Uncertainty and the answers, that's common. Awkwardness, shyness, especially as we kind of venture back into real life. Tension is good, but beware if it escalates. And so I'm going to walk through just a few scenarios, what to do just in case, some lifeguard training for all of you. And then chattiness. People love to talk. If you are one of those, just beware of your and speaking of time, how am I doing? Good. But yes, keeping me on time and others. And then ways to ensure an amazing experience is to model the vulnerability, encourage elaboration, watch for time, acknowledge bravery, and be thankful. Things I've kind of covered already. But I'm going to go real quick and talk about empathy, since that came up already, and empathy in difficult conversations. So one of my favorite terms, differences between empathy and sympathy. Empathy is feeling with someone. And the actual definition of the word is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. You can kind of, when you watch a scary movie, which I hate scary movies, but because I'm the one that goes, I jump, and you jump because your brain is actually experiencing the same emotions that's going on the screen. Your brain cannot actually tell the difference between a storyline and what you yourself are experiencing. So you're mirroring what you see. And this has like profound changes in the brain. But that empathy, that's why when you hear someone else's story and you cry, that's empathy. That's feeling the emotions of others and actually walking in their shoes. And that's the power of stories. Sympathy is feeling sorry for someone. And the definition of feelings of pity or sorry for someone's misfortune. So I love Brene Brown. She's one of my heroes. And she described the same thing of like, okay, sympathy, I'm going to try to do my Brene Brown voice. Sympathy is like finding someone who fell into a hole and be like, oh, that must suck. Sorry. I'm sorry you're in a hole, and keeps walking. And then empathy is someone who goes, oh my gosh, you're in the hole, and then jumps down in the hole with them. And hey, I'm in the hole with you. I feel you. I'm here. And then helps figure out how to get out together. And I feel that's truly what's going to be required of us to get through this. We have to shift our focus and actually walk in their shoes and feel what they're feeling. Oh, wait, I missed a really important point. So when we're struggling, we long for empathy, but often what we get is sympathy instead. And so when people do share, the best thing you can do is just listen and be there. And so your job is not to come up with a solution or the answer, but just to say, I hear you. Thank you for sharing. Also, some quick things. Sometimes the best response is none at all. It is to acknowledge the pain and let them know that you see their struggle. And then say, thank you for sharing and trusting me. I'm here for you. That's all. Sometimes people need a space to share. I've heard stories where people share things in a civic dinner they've never said out loud. People will share things that they have never heard themselves say. And that, I think the poem that Stephen shared before was speaking to that, and that your self-knowledge, your unconscious knows. And sometimes you don't know that you're conscious of it until you say it. And that's the work of this civic dinner, is to develop the structure. Seriously, how am I doing on time? No sense. Great. Last thing, how to intervene in difficult conversations. The first thing is to watch for and listen for. These are just a few things. If someone shares a triggering or a traumatic experience, what to do. A colleague is mentioned negatively, or if there's ignorant comment or harmful comment or misinformation or false statement, or if there's a passionate guest that's talking too much, or time's running out, or there's a heated or contentious conversation, here's what to do. So the first, if someone's talking too long, nudge with grace. Chats and Zoom rooms are the best because you can kind of secretly do it through the direct message. I've even received those with grace. I'm like, oh, whoops, sorry, okay. And quickly correct. So if you're hosting virtually, it's easier to do. If you're hosting in person, you can kindly say, hey, I love what you're saying. I just know that we're running out of time. I want to make sure that we hear from this person, this person, this person. Simple as that. It's received with grace, especially when you remind them of the ground rules that we really want to hear from everybody's perspective. Or if you are moving fast, just make sure that if you're running out of time and you need to jump to the third question, remember that arc, make sure you make it to the third question. Even if everybody only gets one quick whip around, you want to leave on that high note so that you feel a sense of hope and empowerment. And if someone mentions someone in a negative context, our goal here is to do no harm. We want to go deep, we want to understand, but we don't want to risk the reputation of someone who isn't present. And so we kindly ask to we thank them for sharing, we honor and say, it must be painful, I hear you, but would love to hear from your own lived experience and go and stay from there. So we really want to take anything offline that is like very personal, especially if others know who that person is, because it can change how we interact with that person subconsciously. If we hear something, it can alter our behavior and perception of that person. And if someone shares a traumatic experience, like I said, somebody might say something that they've never shared out loud. Again, kind of the response is with empathy. I feel you, I'm here for you. If you want to talk after this, I'd love to talk to you more. I've got some resources that you can go to, and especially if it's one that requires professional support, direct them to the appropriate support. But I think what one risk is remember that it's not your responsibility to solve for it or to change the whole conversation to focus on that one thing. We definitely want to acknowledge the pain and then kindly ask for someone to share their story and kind of keep the conversation going. It's hard. I've been there. I've been in one of those where people, whew, and it's quickly easy for us to go swoop in and want to achieve, but then it's really difficult to end on a high note after that. So it's important to acknowledge it, but make sure that we end and make sure that we go back to the equal time to share so that you have a chance to kind of lift up out of that and understand what good can come from it. And if someone shares a false statement, the best way to interject is to say something productive, like, I like what you said about blank, but I'm struggling with your statement about blank. And so it's more about a curiosity that you can flip it. Also, I can see blank, but what about? And so it's framing it as a question and without judgment. So I think that's the key lesson. And then also to honor my concern is, so if someone says something harmful, you can start by saying, well, I feel, or I'm concerned, my concern with that is that if this is painful for me or someone I know, then it might also, that others here might feel the same and not feel comfortable saying or speaking up. And so just acknowledging that pain in that moment, or if there's something said, and then maybe I think we may have different ideas on how to blank, and that's okay. That's acknowledged. Acknowledging different perspectives is okay. And then I would like to understand, can you tell me more about what you mean by? And that's a great clarifying lean in question when someone says something that might be harmful or ignorant, just to kind of allow them to unpack that and lean in with curiosity. All you really need to know, boom, besides be curious, be authentic, and be vulnerable, is create that brave space. I love the National Center for Civil and Human Rights does some training with us. We've actually taken facilitators through training that actually have conversations with police officers and community members. And it is powerful. And they really, it's not about creating a safe space. It's about creating a brave space for people to be able to be uncomfortable having these conversations. Also encourage the dialogue if something's going on and people want to continue, like, just know that you're navigating and kind of having to pull some things out. Practice empathy, respond and react appropriately, actively listen, and lastly, just respect all experiences and perspectives. And you got this. I think that's it. So I'm really excited for you to host. Who's excited to host? Yeah! All right. Well, we have, I think, some signups available if you want to host. And we have your back. You'll be able to host through the platform. We're going to be sending out a video of like how to actually set up and schedule your event. But more than that, happy to answer any questions. Oh, yeah. Okay, go for it.
Okay, so in addition to your individual dinners, we're also hosting some gatherings. Right now, we have 4 restaurants that have committed to that on Monday, August 9th. We're just partnering with the city to help coordinate that through Explore Brookhaven. One will be right here at the Hyatt Regency, upstairs in one of the ballrooms, because their restaurant won't quite be open yet. One will be at Petite Violette on Claremont, and it'll be private space in the back. One will be at Arnett's Chop Shop on Apple Valley, and one will be at Italiano, which is on North Druid Hills, right at Briarcliff in that shopping area. So we'll take over the spaces. We won't have other diners in our space with us. So it'll be a brave space, not just a safe space for you. That was great. I'm stealing that, Jen. I love Brene Brown too, till she changed platforms. That messed me up. So those will be on the Civic Dinners website for our participants to sign up for. They'll all be groups of 6 to 10, tables of 6 to 10, so that they can be easily facilitated. And I think that's going to be part of what you're going to talk about now, right? Okay.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jen, for talking to us a little bit about, back. What did I do? Oh, I need to go back to the slides. Oh, forward. There we go. There we go. And I just want to say the civic dinners model, for those of you all who are new to it, I really can't speak highly enough about it. I was kind of there when Civic Dinners was being launched while I worked at the Atlanta Regional Commission. We used Civic Dinners for this project that we were working on called the Millennial Task Force Advisory Panel, where we involved about 300 millennials across Metro Atlanta to help inform our regional plan. It was the first time we ever did such a thing, and we won so many regional and national awards for it because of Civic Dinners involvement that we stopped counting, because nobody had ever done such a thing as bringing people together to have conversations that mattered around things like transportation planning and building healthy, strong, sustainable communities and involving your aging population and planning their actual communities. And so this is a really powerful model. When you bring people together around the table or even in a Zoom room to have these conversations, it's powerful. You unlock something that is, I don't want to say magical, but it's very, very special. So I want to talk a little bit about why we're doing this and how we want you all to engage in this during the summer, because you all are a very important and crucial part of this equation, all right? So our purpose here is really to engage the residents of the city of Brookhaven. We are specifically narrowing in on the city of Brookhaven residents because this is a citywide commission, right? And we want to make sure that we're specifically focusing in on city residents in a conversation around racial equity. That is actually the name of the conversation. As you saw in Jen's slides, the conversation is called racial equity. That is the end goal of this work, and that's what all of the conversation questions are focused around. So this will build connections among neighbors. It's going to bring us to a new place of vulnerability and honesty and authenticity with our neighbors as you share those stories, as you open up, as you start to kind of unearth and peel back the layers. I think you'll find those places of honesty. We'll open up lines of dialogue for further discussion and really help drive the work of this commission forward. And the way that this is going to feed back into the work of this commission is that at the end of each one of these dinners or coffee chats or walk and talks or however you have these conversations, it does not have to be just a dinner. You can have these conversations in any type of way that is comfortable for you. We're looking at potentially using some of the Parks and Rec facilities as well. You can have this conversation under a pavilion at any of your beautiful parks in the city of Brookhaven. You can have it, as a coffee chat in a Starbucks or wherever you like to do that. Just any place where you can sit down and have a conversation, right? At the end of that conversation, you will receive an email, and you can just ask everybody, check your email, click the link to a survey in that email that you receive, and you'll get a survey. You fill out that survey, and everybody has a chance. The host and all the guests have a chance to leave their takeaways, their ideas on what did you get from this conversation? What are your action steps? Fill out that survey for us. It's going to be quick and easy. It's not one of these 20-question surveys. It'll take them less than 5 minutes to do this. But that information is going to come back to us, and it will help inform the recommendations that this commission puts together and delivers to mayor and city council. All right? This is going to be a very helpful part of our public participation, our community engagement strategy. All right? We're not just doing this to do it, right? It's not for our health. It's not just for fun. It is going to be fun and it's going to be informative, but it also is going to be very helpful to inform the recommendations. So our partners, as we mentioned, of course, Civic Dinners with their amazing conversation and platform, City of Brookhaven and Explore Brookhaven. Thank you again, Renee, for all of your help. This is amazing. And Chrysalis Lab. And our goal, of course, is to bring as many people together around the table as we possibly can. We have 3 sign-up sheets over here. The first phase of this is really for you all as commission members to come together and to get comfortable with this conversation. This is deep. This is a new layer of conversation for us. During the week of June 28th, we'd like for you all to have these conversations with yourselves as commission members. That can be in person or it can be virtual. We'd like to have 6 people sign up on this first sheet on the far left over here by the time we leave tonight. I'm not going to volunteer people like your chairman might, but we'd like for 6 people to sign up on this sheet over here before we leave tonight so that we can have those conversations. All right. And the second one is commissioner hosted conversations throughout the month of July. Like I said at our last meeting, that might be your book club. It might be, your group in your neighborhood. It might be, your group at your house of worship or whatever group you have in the community that you think, hey, we might be able to come together and have this conversation. During the month of July, we'd like to focus in on those community groups. Then, as we mentioned, during the week of August 9th, the 9th through the 13th, we have our wonderful restaurant partners and some other partner organizations that we're going to be working with to try to get to as many folks across the city of Brookhaven as possible and invite them in and get their feedback as well. All right, any questions on this? Yes.
For the ones that we just mentioned on August 9th, what's the time?
The question was for the dinners on August 9th, what's the time?
I have it blocked for all of them from 6 to 9. So you just tell me what you want it to be.
Okay, they're blocked from 6 to 9. So we will make sure that we clarify what the time is going to be for those dinners on August 9th. Yep. Any other questions? All right, and we will be sure to follow up with you closely through Basecamp and probably through email as well. We're going to give you sample emails to send out to your friends so that you have all of the language, so that you're not starting from scratch, trying to come up with a way to describe this to people. There is great language from Civic Dinners and others that we can give to you so you have everything already packaged and have an easy way to invite people to the table. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you again, Jen. Thank you very much, Civic Dinner, as well as Renee for helping to facilitate the dinners. Renee is in trouble because I can't make it to all 4 restaurants. No, joke. No, but we really appreciate Brookhaven Explore on working with us on this. At this point of our agenda, I will open the public comment and I will read our statement. The public comment portion of this meeting will last to accommodate the speakers. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes, thereby providing an opportunity for 10 speakers if we do have that many. If a speaker wishes to speak beyond the time frame that we've allotted, we will create a list where that person will be able to speak at the next meeting if we run out of time. We want to hear from our citizens. We want to hear from our speakers. So just because if you don't get an opportunity to speak tonight, you'll have an opportunity to speak at the next meeting. As a courtesy to others, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes or less. We do not want to rush anyone, but we want you to have your voices heard. This topic may become a little touchy. We ask that you be respectful to your fellow commission members and the public. We ask that you be respectful to those in attendance to this meeting. So with that, at this time, I will open up public comment. Mindy, do we have anyone signed up for public comment online?
I'll take that.
Oh, thank you, Zach.
There's no public comment yet.
There's no public comment online?
Be more controversial.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Zach. Any public comment in the room? Yes, sir. Please come up and state your name and make your comment.
My name is Wendell Hollins, and I'm a citizen of this great city. And I think, I know that this commission is going to be successful because of the way that I was received here. I felt welcome. I felt engaged. The table was a lot of fun. Chairman came over, introduced himself, and I think that's why, I know why you're going to be successful. Okay, another way I know you're going to be successful is two-way dialogue. Now, does everybody know where the corner of Claremont and Beaufort Highway is?
Yes.
Anyone ever heard of Kathleen's Catch?
Yes.
Right, it just opened. If you love seafood, fresh seafood put out for one day is very unique. I've never heard of this in the Atlanta metro area. They got your other locations. And I'm saying that to say, yes, you as a commission, you're gonna have things, you're gonna put things out there, but me as a citizen and other citizens like me, it's a two-way dialogue, just like Kathleen's Catch, like we were talking about. And I think because you have created this environment when I'm here, and I didn't know anybody in this room, but I felt comfortable, I truly believe that you're gonna be successful, and those conversations need to be said, have to be said. And if it's uncomfortable, that's how you grow. You know, and the last thing I'll say is, you know, butterflies that come out of a cocoon, right? If you help a butterfly out of a cocoon, it will never fly. It's a struggle that may be strong. So the struggles that you're gonna go through to grow will make you a strong commission. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. We appreciate you being here. And thank you for sharing your words of inspiration for this commission. And I'm so appreciative of the commission members. They're really doing the heavy lifting. So thank you for being here. Any other public comments? Any other in the room? Our city manager.
I'm going to be quick. See, I wear many hats. I live in the city, so I have a vested interest in this. I wasn't here when Mindy was talking about the community engagement plan, but I want to stress that what this commission is doing from a community engagement standpoint is more extensive than any other effort for community planning and engagement for the city's 9-year history. We've done a comprehensive land use plan. We've done corridor studies. We've done park studies. We've done all kinds of studies, lots of them, 20, 30 studies. And we get 50 people, 100 people out of 50,000 residents. So that the breadth and depth of the community involvement in this commission is huge for a city this size, and it's huge for the city of Brookhaven. So I'm really excited to see what comes out of that, because if we embrace all policy discussions and all planning exercises with this level of rigor and engagement and inclusivity, we'll be a great city. We already are, but we'll be a greater city. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen, our leader, city manager. Any other comment? At this time, I will close our public comment portion of the meeting. I want to thank the hotel staff. Let's give them a round of applause. They've done a superb job. I want to thank the servers and the chef and the management team here, because they made this happen. I only asked Kristen, can we have an in-person meeting? And I think he said yes within 2 seconds. It was that quick. So thank you, Kristen, also for making this happen. On Saturday, June 19th, earlier today, President Biden signed a bill into law. It introduces the 12th federal holiday of these United States of America. Juneteenth will be celebrated on Saturday. You can clap for that. That's really big. So thank each one of you for recognizing what has happened, what has transpired in the past, gazing, help us shift the gaze. We have to understand, as Leslie said earlier, we have to understand what happened in the past. And sometimes you have to pause and celebrate where we are today because of what happened in the past. So keep that in our mind as you think about Saturday, Juneteenth Day. Think about what happened in the past and celebrate the advances that we've made in our society. We still have a bit further to go. Yes, I know, but we can celebrate. We can take a break and celebrate, okay? So that's on Saturday. I don't know what I'm gonna do on Saturday. I know what I'm gonna do, okay. Next up is a survey. Mindy have emailed a survey to each commissioner. Please complete your survey. This helps us. It tells us what we need to tweak and what we need to improve upon. It tells us if we're doing a good job. So please, 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 I beg it of you, complete the survey, commissioners, and send it back in. Upcoming activities and reminders. Oh, that's soon. Okay, here we go. Again, the committee engagement component, that's very important. I shared with you that we need to make certain that we talk to people. We can talk amongst ourselves, but we need to go into the fields and we need to talk to people. We need to get their input. Just because I'm looking at the mirror this way, they may be looking at it a different way. So when we hear their input, we may change and we may shift a little. That's okay. That's how we grow. He said we grow that way and we advance that way. So that's coming up. Please participate. Please sign up, or you will be signed up. Subcommittee meetings, continue your work. Thank you very much for your hard work in your subcommittee meetings. I've been popping in. I'm not popping in to run the meeting. I'm just popping in just to hear the discussions, and I'm hearing some really good discussions. So continue the great work to our subcommittees. Sign up for the summer activities, and don't forget your swags. Thank you, Kristen. Don't forget your umbrellas, your booklets. Books are outside, so make sure you grab those and don't leave without it. And make sure you get your parking ticket validated. We are near the adjournment. Before we adjourn, any question for the chair? Are there any questions for the chair? Yes, ma'am, Commissioner Pascal. I knew somebody was going to ask that.
It's entirely up to you all, but we prefer you have it in person going forward. We will continue the virtual option. It will be someplace else. We want to kind of rotate through the city. Like I said, we don't have a big enough space in City Hall. It's a jury City Hall anyway. And rec centers, it's a jury place anyway. So we'll make it nice in another place in the city.
So the question was, thank you, Kristen. The question was, will we be meeting in person for the next meeting for our listening audience? Kristen's response was, yes, we will have it in person, and it would also be available via Zoom. Why don't we have it in Linwood Park one day at the school? Ah, okay. All right, I'm just throwing thoughts out. Any other questions for the commission? Any other questions? All right, at this time, I will call for the adjourn unless anyone going to object. Nobody's going to object? Okay. Meeting's adjourned. Have a good night. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate your input.